Life is precious, and we all have the opportunity of living it to the fullest. Unfortunately, so few of us know how to manage it all. How do we account for our opportunities? How do we account for our time? How do we account for our relationships, health, spirituality, homes, finances, influence, and careers? How do we account for the one life we have to live? I am so glad you asked. In this program, you will find answers to all of these questions and more. Welcome to the Account for Your Life podcast with your host, the healthy accountant himself, Jay Moore.
What's happening? Welcome back to another episode of the Account for Life podcast. Today, we're talking about when purpose is lost, the results that come afterwards. What are the results that comes after someone doesn't know what their purpose is? A society doesn't know what their purpose is. A world doesn't know what their purpose is. A country, a city, a family. What happens, or what is the result that comes about because purpose is not known or purpose is unknown? I'm going to look at a couple of scriptures here. We're going to talk about the results that already happened before, and how we are living out right now. We are living out when we lack purpose, what happens and how chaos ensues. So in Genesis chapter 1, we're going to read I'm not going to read the whole passage of Genesis chapter 1, but we're only going to read two main verses. And the main verses just kind of sets us up for what purpose is all about, and then what happens when we don't have purpose. So it says in Genesis 1:26, and God said, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the ground." So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he them, male and female created he them. Verse 28, and God blessed them. And God said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth." And God said, "Behold, I have given you every herb-bearing seed which is upon the face of the earth, and every tree in which is the fruit of a tree yielding its seed. To you should have it for meat, and to every beast of the earth, and every fowl of the air, and to everything that creepeth upon the earth, wherein there is life, I have given every green herb for meat." And it was so. And God saw everything that he made was good. He saw that what he had made, and behold, it was very good. And the evening and the morning were the sixth day of creation. Now that was a culmination of creation. So, a lot of times we read the whole scripture, we get there, and that's like the crown jewel. So there had to be a purpose, right? There had to be a purpose for God to go from 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 4 day, 5 day, to get to the sixth day, so that he could then create this new being to do something. There had to be a purpose. But now let's go all the way up to the beginning of the chapter. See, the beginning of the chapter is not the beginning of time. Hopefully you knew that. The beginning of the chapter just starts something. I believe it starts a story. It starts a story of, a royal family deciding to expand their family, deciding to expand it into a foreign land and colonize this other land, so that royal family can do bigger things than what they were already doing. It's my esoteric view. So in Genesis chapter 1, we're only going to read two verses here. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Verse 2. So that one statement was like a whole chapter, because that's more than just the actual account of creation. That's way more. But it's just saying, in the very beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now, verse 2, it says, and the earth earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. When you study these passages, what these passages are saying, there was chaos happening. So there was already things happening. So when God came to look at what was already happening, there was darkness there. Darkness says that something's not going right. Darkness says that, something's not being seen. Darkness is basically saying that things are kind of crazy, without form and void. So things are everywhere. I can imagine things are everywhere. And here, as things are everywhere, you got chaos, and then the light shows up. So when purpose is lost, chaos follows, right? So if we're just looking at the account of the creation of mankind, of man, the human, God had to reestablish purpose through the creation of humanity. He had to reestablish purpose because the purpose that he already established, there was already something not working. See, because it doesn't talk about, it didn't start off with the war in heaven. It didn't start off with, the beginning of the beginnings. It didn't start off with that. It just started off with, okay, well, this is our solution. So it's 2025. It's 2025. And in 2025, shouldn't people be more aware of the purpose for their lives? Shouldn't people be more aware of how to use their time better and what they should be focused on? Shouldn't people be more aware of, wait a second, I'm created in the image of the Creator. I'm literally created in the image of the Creator. Somebody actually designed all this stuff. There's no way. Look, for people who believe in evolution, for people who believe in, or atheists, especially the evolutionists, how in the world could that even be a thought, that the world just went boom? That's like saying all think about all the inventions. Think about the smallest invention. I have a microphone on my desk. I don't think the microphone came about because it said boom. Boom, all of a sudden the microphone showed up. No, there was labor. Somebody had to think of it. Somebody had to design it. Somebody actually had to create the microphone. So the fact that you have people who think that the world just came out of nothing and all these intricate things it just showed up, it doesn't make any sense to me, at least. But I digress there, because what I want to focus on today is purpose. Last night, and so I'm going to give you a backstory of why I'm actually talking about this. It must be 2:00 in the morning. I'm sleeping, and lo and behold, my body wakes up. And it's been it's so annoying. My body wakes up. It's 2:00 in the morning. I'm tossing. Then I'm hearing the Lord speak to me. And the Lord's just like, man, the lost purpose. So I kind of feel the lost purpose of church, the lost purpose of religion. And it wasn't landing. I just, I was like, that just seems too it's not about religion. It's not, it's about the collective body, meaning that the collective body of everyone, but it just wasn't landing. I was just like, Lord, I'm sitting here before I started recording, and I'm like, what is that? And then he says, oh, well, here's the lost purpose. So the lost purpose is that we were made in his image, and in his image, we were made to subdue the earth. We were made to do that. Nothing more, nothing less. Our purpose is to bring the atmosphere of heaven to earth. So when you think of a colonization is kind of like, when Rome colonized all over the world, and they took over the world many centuries ago, what Rome did was they just set up They took their culture, they took what they did, and they just inserted it into the place where they had just taken over or conquered. So colonization is basically where the government of one area takes everything that it does and implants it into a new place that already was running, but says, we're going to get rid of all your stuff and we're going to put ours in. So the government never has to show up. The government never has to send the king over there, send the queen over there they don't have to send the leader in order for that to happen. They send someone out beforehand. They may send a governor, right? They'll send, a leader that knows all of the nuances of the government, and their main job is to just go and basically get the people of that new area to act like the people and to act the way that the government wants them to act. That's in the main kingdom. That's the key word, in the kingdom. So here it is. Colonization, in essence, is what this is about. God decided to expand heaven into this world, into this physical realm. Because in the realm that I would say the creator is not physical. We're not actual physical beings. We are spiritual beings. And as a spiritual being, shouldn't we understand our spirituality? So when God was sharing with me, purpose has been lost. And so that's why there's so much chaos right now. People don't want to be dependent on the government, but then they are dependent on the government. I mean, we're in the middle of 30 plus days government shutdown, and it's starting to cause some chaos. People are starting to become more, like wound up. All the posts is, it's political. All the posts is about the shutdown. All the posts is what we don't have. And all the posts is, my goodness, we're not going to be able to do this. What's the purpose of the government shutdown? What do you think that is? What do you think the purpose of it is? No one's going to go and say, well, the purpose of the government shutdown is to create some unrest. The purpose of the government shutdown is to create some chaos. The purpose of the government shutdown is to get people bickering back and forth with each other. The purpose of the government shutdown is whatever it is. See, the purpose of the government shutdown is probably not what they're telling you it is. It's just part of a grand scheme plan. In Proverbs chapter 16, it talks about planning, and it says the purpose. It says the preparations are to man, but the answer comes from the left. The answer comes from the Lord. So that's Proverbs 16:1, and it says in Proverbs 16:3, commit everything you do to the Lord, and He will establish your plans. So the problem that most of us are having is we had no plans. We didn't have a plan. Or the plan that we were using was someone else's plan. So when that plan gets interrupted, then we don't have a plan. I was talking to my wife last night. But I know we had this conversation probably a week or two before, maybe even 3 weeks before. And I was talking about how there's no class to learn how to use this body that we come into. There's no class on that. Think about it. There's no class on it. Well, and here's what I mean, there's no class on it. What I mean is that, how everything you have to learn, you have to be taught. Now, here's the thing. If the culture could demonstrate how our bodies work, how our spirituality works, like how we can really utilize our greatest gifts, then it would be really simple because when a baby comes into the world, they learn everything they see. They learn everything in their environment, and they learn the things that were passed down just by default. Yeah, this is what happens. So as I've been like going back and forth on this like concept of, man, how could people relearn? Actually, it's not even relearn. How can people learn the best way to use their experience now that they're here on earth? Because remember, or may not remember, I just want to let you know we were all sent here. You were sent here. And if you're living in 2025, you were sent here to be here now. So there's a purpose for your being here. Here's the purpose. Continue to expand heaven on earth. That's all our purpose is. Expand heaven on earth. Our calling. Expand heaven on earth. That's all it is. Now here's the thing. We get an assignment. So one of my assignments is, man, help people to account for their lives. Share a message of all different ways and all the different things, and just keep drilling it in. This is how you account for your life. This is how you account for life. That's one of my assignments. And here's the thing. I came here built with the assignment in me. I just had to catch up when I needed to start the assignment. I couldn't start the assignment when I was 15. I couldn't start this assignment when I was 20 or 30. I didn't start this assignment until I was probably 54. So I'm probably 45, 46, maybe 46. So you start the assignment at the appointed time. See, because we all get multiple assignments. We don't just get one assignment. You get multiple assignments, right? And some assignments come, some assignments go, some assignments end, and some assignments may continue on all the way up until death. But here's the problem. There's chaos happening all around you and me. Chaos. Chaos. How does one operate at the highest level when there's chaos everywhere? That's a good question. Now, I was listening to one of my mentors, and he said something that really helped me. And he says that we should only be focused on or only be thinking about the things that are in our assignments. That's a paraphrase of what he said. And I said to myself, man, that's deep. So why would I be watching? Like if I have a lot of assignments in my book. Why would I be wasting time watching someone else's assignment that's not even connected to my assignment? So I can watch someone else's assignment. Like I'm going out of town tomorrow, and I'm going to be at an event, for a couple of days. And this is to learn from other people and their assignments that's connected to mine. So I have to go learn from people who are already on their assignment. Their assignments connect to my assignments so that I can be more aware and understand what to do in mine. But what may not be helpful is watching assignments that have nothing to do with my assignments. It may not be helpful. Now, there's times when I may watch a movie specifically for the movie's value towards my assignment. So I'm not just, even though it's entertainment, I may not just be watching it just for entertainment value. I may be watching a movie because, you know what, there's something in this movie I need to get. Like, there's the Book of Eli. I love the Book of Eli. I probably watched it in 2025, man, I watched it 5 or 6 times. And what I love the Book of Eli because it's a movie that's really talking about faith. It's a movie talking about faith. How Denzel Washington's playing this guy who, he's in an apocalyptic time, and how the world was in chaos. The world blew up. And now, here it is. Now the world has to come back together. You got to piece the world back together. And he has the only Bible. Think about it. That's a great story. He has the only Bible in the whole country. Only one. King James Version Bible. He's got the only one. Only one. And here it is. He's got the only one. Now, his nemesis, someone who's looking for a Bible. Now, because there's always good and evil, you got one person who has the word and using the word for the good of man. Then you got one who wants to use the word just for the good of himself and to control people. Whoa, that's in the book of Eli. So a movie like that is helping me to see how faith works. All right, what is faith? I'm going to quote Nelson Mandela because I love his definition. Faith is the ability to see the invisible. We knew that already, right? Because I'm hoping for something that I can't see. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, like something I'm longing for. So faith gives you an ability to see things that no one else can see. It gives you that ability to see the invisible. But then it also does this. It gives you the ability to believe things that are impossible. At least to someone else looking, they're going to say, there's no way you can do that. But then I'll say, well, with God, all things are possible. So it says it gives you this ability to know that, wow, what seemed impossible is possible. But I believe the strongest part of a person who carries this ability is their ability to trust. To trust what they can't see. To trust what is unknown. To trust what is impossible. To trust, how no one's going to follow them. To trust no one's going to believe them. To trust that where they are going is real. See, when we get to that level, it says in Proverbs 23:7, trust in the Lord with all your heart and don't lean to your understanding. So when we think about that statement, trusting in what God has been showing me, God has been showing me some things, just like he gave me this morning as I was sleeping. And he's saying when purpose is lost, chaos follows. And it could get bad. That's how much chaos it could be. But for those of us who know they have faith, who know they see the invisible, who know they believe what's impossible, and who know they have an ability to trust what they can't see, trust what is unknown, because they know who they trust in. When we trust in God with all our hearts and don't lean to our own understanding, we acknowledge him in all our ways so that he will direct our path. See, God has given each and every one of us this one ability to have an expectation even beyond what someone else has an expectation for. God's given us that. God's given us the ability to co-create with him. Here's our function is to actually come up with, to say, oh, okay, Lord, here it is, God. I got this book here, Beyond Tax Strategy. Hey, Lord, I got this book, Next Level of Faith. Hey, Lord, I got this book, Living Life on the Next Level. Hey, Lord, I got this book and this book and this book and this book. Here's the title. It's like, yeah, let's go for that. See, because what God wants to do is God wants to insert. He wants to insert what he already knows about the thing that we're coming up. He says, oh, that's so cute. You think you came up. You didn't come up with that. There's nothing new under the sun. We don't get to come up with it. So I realize sometimes the same idea that you come up with, somebody else got too. It's just that we all get to do it differently. So, but when we come up with it, when we write it down and we say, Lord, You can do far more. God can do far more than I can ask or imagine through the power that worketh in me. God can do that. So he can take a book title that I write down. He can take a coaching program that I outline. And then he can say, here it is. He can keep directing me because he says, trust in me with all your heart and don't lean to your understanding. Acknowledge me, son. Acknowledge me not just one time, but in all your ways, in all your thinking, and I will direct your path. So imagine this. Purpose has been lost. Let me close in here. Imagine this. Purpose has been lost. We see the chaos around us. We see all the people up in arms about government and, politics and the president and the governors and the mayors. We see, we're up in arms, like everyone's up in arms and everyone's getting upset and, you believe this and I believe this and, we're mad at it. People are just mad at each other and just kind of going back and forth, calling each other names. And, the chaos is just building and building and building and building. But then you say, no, that's not me. I'm not going to find myself arguing, bickering, fighting over things that I don't have any control over. Here's what we all have control over. We have control over the purpose that God has put us here to do, which is expand the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of God right here on earth. We have control over that. Because we trust in the Lord with all our hearts and we're not leaning to our own understanding. So, but then it's like, well, Jay, okay, I know my purpose and calling is now. Great. But now it's your assignment. Where has God gifted you? Where are you talented? Where are you skilled? What experiences have you already had? See, a lot of times, we've been colonized to believe that we need to go back to school. We need more and more and more education. When I can guarantee you have at least one experience, you have at least one skill, you have one gift, and you have one result you've already gotten that, or problem you already have experienced that you could then implement a solution around it and help other people because they need it too. I can almost guarantee that. This is what I personally discovered in my own life and how I I wasn't looking at all of the solutions that I carry because I've been colonized. And in the colonization process, I went to school, became certified, and becoming certified, I started working in a field and I started working in industry. Now, here's the thing. I love the fact that I've spent the last 30 years working in the accounting and tax industry. It's built me for such a time as this so that I can then deploy all the other assets that I have to deploy. So when purpose is lost, chaos follows. But when purpose is discovered, destiny is realized. I'm going to say that again. When purpose is lost, chaos follows. But when purpose is discovered, destiny is realized. Are you ready to actually move in purpose so you can realize your destiny? Continue to follow this podcast. I'm Jay Moore, the Healthy Accountant. I help people like you account for their life in a way that you all of a sudden know your purpose, know your calling, understand your assignments so that you can deploy into your destiny. Guys, I hope you got value from this program today. If you did and you watched all the way to the end here, go ahead and subscribe to our channel. We want to impact more people in 2025 and beyond. So if you would do that, that would be great. We look forward to continue to serve you here on this channel. God bless you, and I will see you soon. Peace.
This has been the Account for Your Life podcast with your host, the healthy accountant himself, Jay Moore. Until next time, make it a great day.